Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. It's Monday, a new week and new opportunities abound. And of course, it means new sports stories from around the world are coming at you fast and in a hurry. We bring to you some interesting news, a little bit about what is going on in Ukraine and how it's still affecting sports, but mostly we will touch on football and the effects, the footballing competitions that happened over the weekend. Of course, as many of you know, that Liverpool are Carabao Cup winners, winning in an 11-10 penalty shootout. What a thrill that was. Now, we'll start with a Nigerian who experienced something many of us hope we never have to worry about. Former Super Eagles invitee Viv Solomon Otobo revealed his ordeal as he fled Ukraine after Russian forces invaded the Eastern European country. The situation between Russia and Ukraine is deteriorating as the death toll rises, particularly in Ukraine. The war has paralyzed major activities in Ukraine, including sports, which have all been postponed indefinitely. With things heating up, many have been left stranded, and some have fled Ukraine to neighboring countries in search of safety. Former Super Eagles invitee Solomon Otobo left Scottish side St Johnstone for Ukrainian top-flight side Ruch Lviv in the previous transfer window. But given the current situation, he may be rethinking his decision. The 26-year-old forward has now had to flee from Ukraine for safety and says everybody was just like calm, but you could see the fear on their faces, the fear of trying to get out. Such are the stories that are coming out and emanating out of Ukraine, and we will likely hear many more of this. After all, there are footballers and other sporting athletes who are plying their trade in Ukraine, and now their careers in Ukraine may already be over, and who knows where they will land. Now, Leeds United have sacked Marcelo Bielsa after a disastrous run of form left the side in a Premier League relegation fight. Saturday's 4-0 home defeat by Spurs was their fourth straight loss and saw them set a competition record for the most goals conceded in a calendar month. The Argentine insisted after the game that he was confident he could turn Leeds' fortunes around, but the end of his 3-year reign was confirmed less than 24 hours later. The Ellen Road club said it hopes to announce a swift replacement with ex-RB Leipzig head coach Jesse Marsch reportedly in the frame. Leeds sit 16th in the Premier League, 2 points above the drop zone, but having played 2 games more than 18th placed Burnley. Now, the truth is, he probably had this coming. The manager has insisted he was not going to change his philosophy of how to play the game, which is admirable in some regard. But when you are facing an uphill battle and your philosophy just isn't getting you through it, you have to find a way to adapt to the situation. Arsene Wenger famously had many of the same problems at Arsenal towards the end of his managerial career there. He was not the kind of manager who would spend much effort plotting and ploying how to tactically staunch the opposition. He did not take opposition research seriously. He only cared about his philosophy, and it did not matter on the day. A manager who refuses to have a plan B is probably always destined to fail. Thomas Tuchel has insisted nothing will change for him as Chelsea head coach on a daily basis, following the news that owner Roman Abramovich has handed over the stewardship of the club to trustees of the charitable foundation. Tuchel was speaking at Wembley following Chelsea's 11-10 penalty shootout defeat to Liverpool in the EFL Cup final after the game finished 0-0 after extra time. It was heartbreak for substitute goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga, who missed the decisive penalty, with Tuchel defending his decision to replace Edouard Mendy for the Spaniard. The German insisted his team must have no regrets and seemed pleased that they were able to keep such high-class opposition at bay for more than 2 hours. Thomas Tuchel is right in saying that Liverpool are the deadliest attacking team in Europe. And the game really could have gone either way. It was a thrilling contest. And what is interesting to me, actually, is that the Lukaku goal that was ruled out, obviously there was the implementation of VAR has been a complicated endeavor. But the rule changes that were supposed to come into place this season to limit the instances where a goal is ruled off by a matter of millimeters. I find it interesting that on this occasion, in this match, that rule did not seem to apply. Now, Bayern Munich's lead at the top of the Bundesliga table is now 8 points after Borussia Dortmund were held to a 1-1 draw at Augsburg. Thorgan Hazard gave Marco Rose's side the lead shortly after the half-hour mark before Augsburg substitute Noah Sarenren Bazi spoiled the party with little over 10 minutes to play. Dortmund will be looking for all 3 points on their trip to Mainz next up, knowing that losing any more ground on Bayern Munich could prematurely end their title challenge. Now, Dortmund have been without star striker Erling Haaland for a number of games now, and it's been telling as they dropped out of the Europa competition last Thursday. Now, in League One, Marseille had to settle for a 1-1 draw at Troyes after being pegged back by a 90th minute equaliser from the hosts. George Sampaoli's side took the lead in the first half when Matteo Guendouzi was brought down in the area and Dimitri Payet dispatched the resulting penalty. However, Marseille lost further ground on leaders PSG when Troyes snatched a last-minute equaliser when Yoann Toga was able to poke the ball home from close range. It could be a crucial point for Troyes, who moved off the bottom of the table and outside of the relegation zone, while second-place Marseille are 15 points behind leaders PSG. And now more on the effects of the war in Ukraine. No international football matches will be played in Russia, and the Russian flag and anthem will be banned from any of their matches abroad, governing body FIFA said on Sunday, February 27th. It said the national team would not compete as Russia, but as the Football Union of Russia, and any games would be held with no fans on neutral territory, as part of its sanctions following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Meanwhile, Poland and Sweden have already refused to play their World Cup qualifier matches against Russia. Now, we'll see where that ends up leading to, the boycott of any matches against Russia by Poland, Sweden. Now, to me, this just smells of a weak, less than nothing effort to check Russia's aggressions in Ukraine. The IOC did the same thing when the news came out that state-sponsored doping had taken place during the Winter Olympics in Sochi. It doesn't seem to matter to these governing bodies that many of the players who are going to represent Russia or the Football Federation of Russia are the same players. And in fact, what happens, this is unlikely, but what happens if the players actually go on to win the tournament, carry the cup? Will FIFA deny that the cup belongs to Russia? Wouldn't the cup be flown down to Russia for the players to have their parade with their fans? It makes no difference. We'll see how that ultimately develops. Now, Valtteri Bottas has paid tribute to the living legend Lewis Hamilton, who he admitted was simply the better driver. Bottas spent 5 years at Mercedes with the 7-time F1 world champion, but has now joined the Alfa Romeo team ahead of the upcoming 2022 season. Hamilton's former teammate has backed the Briton to bounce back from last season's disappointment and believes Hamilton will have the fire raging in his belly. The Finn hopes F1's new regulations will deliver on the promise to make the sport more exciting and less predictable. It's always a pleasure bringing you all the latest sports stories from around the world. My name is Mikhail Tinubu, and it's always my pleasure knowing that you tune in here on PlusTvAfrica to watch Plus Sports, the home of Plus Sports News. My name is Mikhail, like I said. It's always a pleasure, always. Remember, life is never boring with some sports. Have a wonderful day.